Hello, and welcome to the Afterspark podcast, an episode-by-episode recap of the Generation 1 Transformers cartoon. I'm Els.
And I'm Specs.
And today we are going to be talking about episode 72, titled
Chaos.
Yes,
Chaos Owls.
And today we're going to be talking about episode number 72, Chaos. Let's talk about giant robots today, shall we?
Well, we're going to talk about giant robots talking about other giant robots and other things, even.
Oh, yeah. We've got some, talking about giant robot inception.
Mm-hmm. We open with Blastoff going toe-to-toe with a Skuxoid, or one of those lizardy pig aliens we've seen before.
Blastoff chasing him down and stealing his crystal gun.
On Cybertron, Cup is regaling Blur, Wheelie, and Grimlock with war stories.
Now including a flashback with a giant alien lizard.
Oh goody. In the flashback, he's able to beat the giant alien lizard by getting him stuck in a swamp. It is unfortunately taken prisoner by a race of aliens called orbs.
They are not spherical in any way, shape, or form. I don't know why they're called this.
Someone was scraping the bottom of the barrel this week.
I even went to the wiki and was like, did I hear them right? Because I wanted to make sure. I was like, for all I know, maybe they're called gorbs or something. And I'm not hearing the G, but no.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to miss, letters and pronunciation.
Especially when it's, alien things. I'm like, oh yes, I remain eternally grateful to the TF Wiki so I could look shit like that up.
The TF Wiki is wonderful and benevolent. We very much enjoy it. Back in the present, Grimlock asks Cup about a chaos monster.
Cup is not thrilled about this question, seeming to have some baggage involved, even when Grimlock says please!
Very polite for him, Grimlock.
It is. A call from Retgar interrupts story time, and the group heads off towards Goo aboard Skylinks.
Apparently, the Goo, on Goo, can just be turned off some sort of convenient control valve.
Which Blur does, so they don't get stuck inside Goo.
Why?
Because presumably it's a functional, weird garbage facility, so it would need some kind of valve, I guess? I don't know.
God. Yeah. They arrive at Retgar's location, which shows them a down-to-earth defense ship.
Cup pulls out a little device and scans the ship, saying the damage was caused by death crystals.
Apparently the little device is like an intergalactic Geiger counter, apparently.
Cup takes the news well, the baggage from earlier briefly rearing its ugly head, until they are attacked by Decepticons.
As Decepticons do. Said Decepticon being run amok, riding astride Blastoff using the fancy death crystal gun.
A firefight ensues before we cut to commercial.
You know, a gun that just shoots out a bunch of shattered crystals doesn't seem terribly unique. It's basically a space shotgun.
But with death crystals, maybe the death crystals are the important aspect here, I guess?
Well, that would be my assumption, but I mean, they're just funky rock. And I was making claw hands at this.
And, Transformers doesn't have the excuse every high fantasy thing does, which is the crystals are magic.
The fucking radioactive death crystals? I don't know.
Skylinks deems it necessary to transform into his quadruped mode and dashingly dives in to collect his passengers, making an escape into an asteroid field.
Runamuck continues to fire on them.
Skylinks transforms back into a shuttle around the Autobots.
Well, that must take some finesse.
Well, he's a very finessey guy.
Mm-hmm.
Cup finds an embedded death crystal and finally gives us the story about his baggage.
Revealing the origins of death crystals.
Evidently, these things grow on Chaos, who is a alien from the planet Dread. Very friendly names here, guys.
So ominous. So they encourage you to visit.
Yes, I would like to apply to work for the Dread Tourism Board, please. Surely we can invite people to the planet Dread.
All they need is some good publicity. Or that planet from the earlier story where Cup was fighting the lizard thing.
After he was captured by the orbs, he was taken to the Death Crystal Mines, where he worked alongside many other enslaved robots.
The mine is attacked by Chaos, who is a glowing green crystal bear thing and may live in the caves?
Come to Dread! See the wildlife!
Oh my god! get horribly mauled. Take home sparkly crystals that mean death.
Cup flees from Chaos, lamenting that he was unable to free the other robots still trapped in the mine.
And revealing that he deeply needs a therapist after this Chaos incident.
But being Autobots, or maybe it's a Cybertronian thing, obviously he has not had access to a therapist for the past several million years.
I don't think their insurance covers it.
Well, they are in the US.
God. On the planet Dread, we see that the Decepticons are now gathering a bunch of death crystals together.
Apparently to destroy Cybertron.
Good times all around, I guess?
Come to Dread! World-destroying crystals! Take some home for the fam!
God. Yep, excellent kitschy trinkets. Use it as a paperweight.
The Decepticons apparently have taken over the whole orbs mining operation thing, because I don't think we see any orbs.
They probably went off to, I don't know.
They definitely went somewhere nice and weren't killed by Galvatron at all.
They're all taking a nap somewhere.
Yep, a very, very long permanent nap.
When some slaves try to escape, Galvatron sends Predaking after them.
The Autobot group then arrives on Dread.
Grimlock, Wheelie, and Wreck-Gar stay aboard Skylynx to hold down the fort while Cup and Blur head out onto the planet.
Where they are, of course, promptly attacked by the Predacons.
Blur is not having a good day, but it gets significantly worse when he's pushed into quick mud, which we sort of saw at the beginning of this episode, but didn't detail, and then he starts sinking.
The other 4 or 5 Autobots, having gotten tired of waiting, jump into the fray. Skylynx splits into two components, so I'm not really sure. Does he count 1 or 2 bots now?
I think he's sort of like Reflector, where it's 3 bodies and technically 1 person.
Yeah, I am so mad that we don't explore that as a concept more in Transformers media, because it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, do you have your own distinct, personalities between your components? Or are you literally one guy who's moving 3 bodies around simultaneously? Because that would be weird.
Or are you some sort of weird gestalt where individually you have your own personality, but then different personality as each of your components meets up or something?
Yeah,
combine.
Fascinating concept. They do nothing with it.
Yeah. Skylynx Beast half attacks the Predacons while his birdie half pulls Blur's ass out of the mud.
Together, the group is able to take out the Predacons and send them running.
Grimlock even picking up Razorclaw in his mouth and shaking him like a naughty kitty.
Grimlock tells Blur he's lucky they got tired of waiting, or he'd be a mud pie.
Grimlock knows what a mud pie is. He probably helped with babysitting Daniel.
That's exactly what I was thinking, too. I'm like, well, he does hang out with Daniel, and now I'm just imagining wee baby Daniel surrounded by Dinobots. So cute.
Hanging out, making mud pies.
I feel like the Dinobots would be into that, let's be honest.
Yep. The group decides to go after the death crystals in order to stop the Decepticons' plans.
Skylynx heading off to do a little recon.
Meanwhile, the Predacons report their defeat to Galvatron.
Sorry, boss, that Skylynx was just too fantastic.
Skylynx and the Autobots attack.
Wreck-Gar gets hit and says some nonsense about ziplock not locking.
Well, he does talk TV.
Skylynx lands and proclaims, I thought you scrawny beast had had enough of a licking for one day.
Before the ground below him promptly explodes and sends him down a hill, where he lands on his back looking rather a lot like an upturned turtle. This reminds me of when Optimus died rolling down that hill.
Almost died.
Yeah.
Also, hey, Skylynx, are you sure you want those to be your last words?
Oh, famous last words. Galvatron fires on the other Autobots while the Predacons form Predaking again.
Leaving the others to guard the cave entrance, Cup heads into the caves to confront Chaos.
He's got to make up for being a coward before.
The Autobots escape back in the forest, finding a still injured Skylynx.
In the mountain, Cup taunts Chaos before running away and freeing the trapped robots, who've apparently just been there all this time and are still there after several 100,000 years. They must have such amazing battery life.
You know, they don't build them like they did in the old days.
The now freed robots overrun the Decepticons and their cannon, because that's apparently what the Decepticons were collecting the death crystals for.
Yeah, Don't know if they plan to move it closer to Cybertron or what, but yes.
Or how they were gonna do it.
Firing said cannon at Chaos and finally destroying the damn thing.
The shot appears to have set off a volcano, which probably not helped by the fact that Chaos is made up of the death crystals, and those probably get destabilized or whatever. So yeah, the volcano goes off and it sends the cons running.
Cup is saved by the timely arrival of our shuttle lion bird thing, as well as the 2 freed robots that had been helping.
Leaving everyone else to die?
I have no idea. We never see any of these any of the, like, enslaved robots, previously enslaved robots ever again, so I don't fucking know. I feel like loss of life is really nebulous on whether the Autobots actually care about that at any given point or not.
It's too much moral quandary for a children's cartoon, apparently.
Apparently.
And thus our story ends as it began, with Cup sharing more war stories with the other Autobots.
This particular tale seeming to be Jonah and the Whale, but with robots.
And an extra Cup. In space. No one can hear you in a whale when you're in space.
The rest of the Autobots sure wish they couldn't hear Cup right now, except for Grim, who's having a grand old time. But that ends today's episode. So, join us next time for episode 73, Dark Awakening. So, you know how they killed Optimus Prime? They make it worse. Significantly fucking worse.
It's like the executives went, let's go traumatize them kids some more.
Pretty much. And Specs has some fanfic for us today.
The first one is Nightly Ritual by Arian Sato. It's G1 cartoon, rated T. It's Gen, there's no pairings. Characters are Cup and RC, and in summary, he, meaning Cup here, can't ever recharge the night after a battle. And I picked it because it's Cup focused, and after a battle, as like this is, and it's like exploring his
trauma.
Yeah, trauma, or his ways of making himself settle down and deal with, you know, the anxiety and nerves after a fight. And it's a one-shot. The second one is Student, Leader, Youngling, Teacher by Raised by Moogles.
Hey, Final Fantasy reference.
All one word. And it's G1 cartoon, rated G, Gen, there's no pairings, and the characters are Rodimus Prime and Cup. And in summary, Rodimus has some ball bearings throwing Cup in the brig. And
great description.
It's one shot, and I picked it because, well, various points Cup is, you know, imprisoned. And it's interesting to see explorations of their relationship, considering that it has to have changed quite a lot.
Yeah, and they don't really explore that in the cartoon. Which, again, is, I think, part of the problem I have with Season 3, is there are all these interesting concepts, but we do nothing with them.
Yep. And so, I picked 2 Cup ones, since this episode was Cup story time.
It was definitely Cup story time.
Cup story time, time to become the story, become part of the story. Except isn't that technically any episode with Cup? Because you'll just tell those stories later.
I just am now imagining, like, TikToker Cup, like, telling these war stories. So, YouTube has this thing where it's like, alright, we're gonna have story time, where we're gonna, like, talk about the gossip, but they call it story time, so now I'm just imagining Cup as an influencer doing story time, but it's, like, legitimately his stories.
That's actually mildly terrifying, because, unfortunately, my brain is adding it to, you know, the really long nails that and various other aesthetic things that TikTok influencers tend to have. And so it's basically just, you know, old Queen Cup.
No, I meant the man is probably terrible with actual tech. I know he is tech, but he's probably terrible with actual tech. Like, probably, like, I don't know, maybe Blur is, like, recording him or something. Blur runs the media account, not Cup.
Oh god, someone just sets up the camera anytime Cup is telling the story.
Yeah,
and Cup
like,
doesn't know what the fuck is happening. And it's someone else that's... Eventually someone shows Cup that he is an internet sensation.
Somebody is stealing the ad revenue is what I'm getting at.
Yes. God, you know Swindle would do it.
Oh, well, he would if he was an Autobot. I'm actually wondering if
he'd probably send in, Laserbeak.
I like the idea of it's all going to Daniel's college fund, actually. Cop is single-handedly paying for Daniel's college.
But Spike should be working for the government as Autobot liaison.
Who the hell knows?
Or Carly is some sort of high-paid scientist. You know that woman went to, fucking Harvard or something. Okay, well, that was something of a digression. Sorry about that. And that just about wraps it up for us today. Remember to check us out on Tumblr or Pillowfort as Afterspark-podcast for any additional information, show notes, or links we may have mentioned. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at AftersparkPod, all one word, and various other locations by searching for Afterspark podcasts such as AO3, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, just to name a few. And feel free to send us questions on Tumblr, YouTube, or AO3. Till next time, I'm Specs.
And I'm Mouse.
Toodles! We open with Blastoff going toe-to-toe with a Skexoid.
Toe-to-toy?
God damn it.